It's by some ordinary gamers, and a bunch of you like sent some links from this guy. I never watched any of his videos. And the title of the video is "I feel scammed by Star Citizen and I gave up on it." Okay.
Brought to you by our friend.
He has 3.5 million views. Like, this is the first time that I'm actually watching his video. Does he have any other Star Citizen videos? Oh no, I watched this one. Yeah, I remember watching this one. So he has one Star Citizen video and 3.5 million subscribers. Okay.
Over at Manscaped.com, the global men's lifestyle brand that has the right tools for you. But
okay, we start off with the Manscaped thingy. Okay,
today's video is for the dads. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Manscaped is trusted by over 8 million men worldwide for their trimmers, hygiene formulations, and of course, those premium boxers. Now, of course, if you're looking for the perfect gift for Father's Day, look no further than Manscaped. Ladies and gentlemen, they've got the, no, not this trimmer. We're not going to talk about balls and dads together. In fact, we're going to talk about beard hedgers. The beard hedger trimmer is a great gift for any dad who loves tech and new gadgets. It's got a 7,200 RPM motor and titanium-coated T-blades to cut through the thickest of hair in a single stroke.
Is this shit any good? Like, did anyone like try this? Because I have tried so many hair trimmers and like, they're all dog shit, honestly. Yeah, it's titanium blades. Dude, why do titanium blades go fucking, like, they blunt? They go blunt? No, they don't go blunt. What was the word that I'm looking for here? Help me out, chat, please. Like, they just, like, start not doing their job, basically, after a month or two. It's the same with, like, Rowenta or Phillips or whatever. So
you can actually get 20 different hair cutting lanes. So no messy drawers full of all the attachments you need for your beard gadgetry. You've also got a Weed Whacker 2.0 for all the dads who start showing a little bit too much forestry going on in the ears and nose. It's got a 7,000 RPM motor with the 360-degree rotary dual blade system.
Thank you,
so your dads
Jim.
Can whack all their weeds.
Yeah, all of this shit just goes dull.
Muda, it also
is this like? Did any of you try Manscaped? Is it any better?
Does it have skin-safe technology?
Pest trimmers are the best.
Bet the engineers put skin-safe technology so you can reduce all those nicks and cuts, especially in the most sensitive nether regions. And you know, on all these products, it's got wireless charging, so your dad's gonna freak out at the magic of technology. It's also got a tri-battery level, meaning that you'll know just how much charge you have left. And if you want to give your dad both, get the Performance Package 4.0, which comes with Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver, and also comes with 2 free gifts. The Shed
Lawnmower,
Travel Bag and
Weed
the
Whacker.
Manscaped Boxer
Okay,
Briefs.
sure.
The Shed
You're a fan
is
of
a
One Blade?
premium leather travel bag that's water resistant.
Dude, is this a Star Citizen video or what is this? 2 minutes of
briefs have a micro
boxers and briefs and fucking what? Okay. Sure.
Worldwide who trust Manscaped
Jesus Christ.
and have the right tools for those family jewels.
He didn't even have an
guys
intro.
And gals, me Mudahar, and welcome back to another episode of Haunted Gaming. Today we're covering a creepypasta known as Star Citizen. Yes, will this game ever release? Ladies and gentlemen, today I wanted to do a little dive into a game that I have been waiting for quite a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, Star Citizen is a game that I'm sure every single one of you have heard. And, you know, a few years ago I uploaded a video on my channel, pretty much an off-the-cuff stream segment, where I kind of crapped on Star Citizen.
I gotta check out One Blade. But you gotta understand, like, in Serbia, you can't really get, like, One Blade and what's it called? Whatever this was, Manscaped and all that. I gotta order it. And I would, like, gladly order it from, like, Amazon and pay, oh my God, like, so much taxes and you know that, like, shipping here to Serbia, Amazon doesn't, like, ship anything with, like, trucks anymore for some fucking reason. So you gotta basically pay for a plane ticket every time you wanna order something. It always goes or comes here with a plane, and it's so annoying. So if you wanted to, like, buy an earring, which I wanted to get for my girlfriend, it was her birthday, and, like, yeah, sure, fucking $240 for what? For a set of earrings? Really? Jesus.
time. Ladies and gentlemen, Star Citizen is a game that I'm sure every single one of you have heard. And, you know, a few years ago, I uploaded a video on my channel, pretty much an off-the-cuff stream segment, where I kind of cracked on Star Citizen incredibly. And the reality is, I'm a bit jaded from this game's development. Now, in recent months, I've come back
I did not realize that it was the same guy.
And part of me maybe has developed Stockholm Syndrome because I've kind of enjoyed my time. But the more and more I look into this game's development, the more and more it hurts. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Star Citizen is a space simulator exclusively for the PC that is beyond just a space simulator. It is, in fact, an ability for you to create a new life and live amongst the stars. I guess the best way to describe Star Citizen for a lot of people coming in is this game is effectively life, okay? It's not just your average MMO where you get into a few character classes, some gameplay loops, raid a few dungeons. No, this game is meant to replace life itself. You see, Star Citizen is best understood as a game where you can be a space delivery driver, okay? A space Amazon delivery agent. And the reality is there's plenty of other games like Star Citizen that give
you know what?
Games like Elite
I feel like Amazon is delivering to Serbia with C2s, and you gotta fucking pay for Quantanium to get like a fucking pair of earrings, honestly.
I guess one of the best ways to describe Star Citizen is like any other MMO, you would typically expect it to have character classes, your average gameplay loop. Imagine playing something like Elite Dangerous, for instance, right? You're delivering things, packages through space. You're a space Amazon delivery agent, right? Well, in Elite Dangerous, you buy a ship, you click through a few menus, and you transfer cargo onto your ship, and you go on your merry way. With Star Citizen, you pick up a contract, you go to a location, you move every goddamn box individually into your ship, you make sure your ship is ready to fly off and your cargo doesn't go anywhere, you fly to the other area, you put the boxes into your into a box at your destination. That probably doesn't work. You basically got to do every single aspect yourself. I wish I could show you more footage actually beyond trying to get into my plane, because I couldn't even access the menu to fix my plane, and at one point I couldn't even access the doorways, and the game consistently gave me a server crash, 30,000 whatever. I guess the server must have been overwhelmed.
He was playing during free fly. Okay.
You know what? Let's just move on. The best way to describe the immersion of Star Citizen is if the game told you to take a leak, it literally wants you to find the bathroom yourself, go to the bathroom, unzip your pants through an interactive prompt, aim and piss, and then...
That is not true. That is not in the game yet. And it's a question of, like, how is that going to work? Or is it going to work like that? I guess it is at some point, but sure.
Zip your pants up and call it a day. Other games would just make you press an interact button. No. Star Citizen makes you go above and beyond. This is life after all, ladies and gentlemen. Now,
I mean, I get that he is being sarcastic and like or dramatic, but still.
Of course, with all of that said, I want to take you on to
321.
Yeah. Now, you can find plenty of developmental roadmaps throughout history that'll give you an absolute perfect description of how Star Citizen's development has gone for the last 10 years. But I wanted to apply a personal touch in my video and kind of look at this from the perspective of somebody that's been here since the Kickstarter. I've fallen off, I've come back, fallen off the wagon, and I've come back. Okay, this is a train wreck that I continuously monitor until I hope to see it actually release. So to start off with, Star Citizen launched its actual Kickstarter campaign, a crowdfunding campaign. Yes, Star Citizen is actually the best example of a crowdfunded project.
Yeah.
Because it has made the most crowdfunding money.
FPS pissing, you heard it here first. Okay, let me derail the video for a second here. No, this is 3. I need 2. There we go. Oh, you can't find it on YouTube. So Portal, why did I fucking Portal, not Portal, Postal. There we go, Postal. Thank you, no name. So this is a game from the 90s, as far as I remember, maybe early 2000s. So yeah, one of the missions was to go and piss on your father's grave, by the way.
money that I've ever seen. Now, Star Citizen also
Beat that, Star Citizen. Am I right?
has investors, from what I understand, but this is the
Yeah,
game
he's
that
going
has
postal.
made
That's the
$500
point of
million.
the whole game.
Yes, $500 million plus in just crowdfunding dollars, okay? Making it arguably the most successful crowdfunded project ever made. So here's the initial pitch over here, which is around $500,000. That's what they were asking for initially. They ended up getting $2.1 million and around 34,300 backers. Now, this was actually updated last April 6, 2013. So this is a long time ago, a decade ago, if you will, too, last updated. The pitch video is insane too. It's like, they thought I was dead. They said console was the future. And obviously you've got Chris Roberts and CGI Glory over here basically talking about Star Citizen, the game. Now, Chris Roberts is a central figure to the development. He is the designer of games like Wing Commander, which are games that are a little bit too old for me, but they had an all-star studded cast. Absolutely great.
Does anybody know how old this guy is?
Space dogfighting simulators. But of course, Chris Roberts was also one of the designers for one of my favorite games ever made, Freelancer, a game that allowed you to effectively create a character, not create a character, but play the role of a pilot, be part of an expansive campaign, and fly all over the stars, trade.
Some Freelancer servers are still active, and I have a friend that occasionally comes back to it and still plays it.
Fight, hunt bounties, do whatever you wanted. Compared to games
nowadays,
like he's 30. Freelancer is quite simple, but the game...
Well, if he's 30, then I'm like 6 years, well, 5.5 years older, almost 6. And I was there during Wing Commander, but Wing Commander was not like that popular around the globe. It was not the most popular game. And when I was a kid, I only like played popular games because those were the only ones that you can like find here in Serbia. And most of them, well, were pirated. He was born in 1991. Yeah, so he was alive. Well, he was alive. He was born already.
Gameplay loop is still engaging. Freelancer was supposed to have a sequel called Freelancer 2, where I believe it was supposed to release on the PC and Xbox 360, but it never got made. It got canceled. And even though it got canceled, to this day, it still has some of the coolest Nebula cloud technology
Wing Commander was on the only one. Yeah. Well, you know what? I played Prince and Doom. That was also like released 89 and 91. So yeah,
be released, and it's a shame that I haven't seen other games do similar tech. But at the same time, Freelancer is a far simplified project as compared to Star Citizen. If you have never played Freelancer, if you never played Wing Commander, I highly do recommend you give them a try. If you play those games and you realize the quality of those experiences, you can understand why people gave millions of dollars to Chris Roberts in this Kickstarter pitch. So even looking into it, of course now this is like CG work, but Chris Roberts wanted to effectively use CryEngine, which at the time was one of the prettiest looking game engines, and I believe Unreal 4 wasn't even available at this time. Chris took one of the prettier engines at the time and wanted to make a expansive space simulator out of it. This would bite him on the ass, but we're not there yet. So even in this footage, which is one of the reasons why I think it worked so well.
Yeah, I think Unreal 4 got like released next year.
Understand some actual gameplay.
Like
so here you can see that they had a character scratching their ass, looking around
or
one of the largest hangars that I've seen in a while, and impressively detailed for 2013. Of course, you could even see ships kind of flying around too, so obviously people were like, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. He's a veteran in the industry. Let's throw some money. So real quick, Star Citizen is a rich universe focused on epic space adventure, trading, dogfighting in first person. That's all true, by the way. That's pretty much what the game intends to be. Single player, offline or online. As of now, not true. The game is an MMO, persistent universe. It's not universe, an MMO. That's true, hosted by us. Moddable multiplayer. We don't have any moddable multiplayer, okay? This is a persistent MMO. No subscriptions. That's true. There are no subs for the game. No pay to win. Arguably not true. And we're going to get to their luxury ships really quick. So of course, pretty much after this, they had a bunch of stretch goals. So basically for 2 million, 2.5.
I mean, there are subscriptions, but they don't really give you, like, it's not game access subscriptions, right? It's completely different.
3 million, so on and so forth. They were going crazy.
It is
adding extra
PTU
goals,
access,
extra ships, extra gameplay features. And from here, you can kind of see that as the funding increased, the feature creep also showcased,
Jim.
which when game development
Those
is
were
a
the
thing,
days,
feature
right?
creep is a bad thing to have. Feature creep is effectively the idea of, hey, we have a core game concept we want to make, but if we have time, let's add this extra feature to it. The problem with it is, unless you just keep adding modules and features and you don't complete the core actual game, the game is going to be perpetually in development and nothing is going to get finished. You got to make sure you have a solid foundation before you start.
You know what? This, like, racetrack, so there's an argument to be made every time that somebody, like, mentions the bad sheet, the deformation mechanics and all of that, or physics. There's an argument to be made, oh, well, they got their, like, junior devs working on that. But then you take a look at the PTV racetrack and you take a look at the IC videos and you see that those are not junior devs. Those are, like, people that work on this game for years now, that spent time building this shit and building the new one, the new PTV racetrack. So why? And then somebody's going to say, well, yeah, because they had time. No, this was the mission, right? So,
start branching off. But hey, I'm not a game developer. I'm just a guy on the internet. What do I know? So basically, after this Kickstarter came out the Hangar module, and the Hangar module is effectively only for the backers and allowed people to actually go into a hangar, of course, and see some of the ships that they purchased. Now, I wasn't in this at the time because I couldn't really afford the Kickstarter back then, and so I didn't really do it. I didn't jump into it. I wish I did, because I would have liked to see
the Kickstarter like $45 if you want to, like... Let me see, actually. I think it was like $45. $5 or more, 10 or more, 37. Digital copy of the finished game. And the RSI Aurora spaceship ready to fly. So it wasn't that bad during the Kickstarter, is what I'm seeing.
Module, but unfortunately never happened. But of course, when I had a little bit of money in my pocket, I bought the cheapest game package at the time. The $45, I believe I bought the cheapest
$45 for the game plus the ship, sure.
Game package at the time. The $45, I believe it was the Mustang Alpha bundle, which allowed me to access the the Arena Commander game type, which actually at the time had a tutorial section which isn't even accessible in the game anymore. So you can see right over here that back in the day, and this is a 2015 video that we're actually watching, you could actually walk around in here, get a little bit of training, and actually access your ship and fly around and get some basic flight information. From what I understand, this isn't available. You pretty much have to rely on figuring out how to fly the ship yourself. The game does have a tutorial mode, but we'll get to all of that in a little bit. So of course, at this moment in time, I kind of fell off the game again because they didn't really have the persistent universe. They didn't really have much of the gameplay that we see today. Now, of course, it wasn't until years later that they introduced something known as the PU, the Persistent Universe, and some actual planets you could fly and land.
No, it's fine. Also, you're going to see everything on my second channel. I'll cut out it into like clips, so you're fine. You're good. Also,
unfortunately, the game was still very buggy. The frame rate was still bad, and for
the
few hours I played, I dabbled in and I backed the hell out immediately. I wanted to wait until the game was actually a bit more playable before putting hours of my life into it. Honestly, if anything, that was a bit more off-putting for me, and that's one of the reasons why I just had this on and off relationship with Star Citizen. 6 years ago, they actually produced a video where they showcased during CitizenCon, their actual conventions, the Sandworm. Now, this is a very popular clip that a lot of people have watched if you were in the Star Citizen community, where basically they were actually like driving this ATV around, and you can actually see a dust storm in the distance over there. I have never noticed the dust storm and the electrical.
More like NTV, am I right? Like non-terrain vehicle.
like storms going on ever in the actual game. But of course, by the time you actually get to the end, there's a moment you get off, you bring out weapons, you can actually explore a fair bit. But the most interesting part of this situation was the sandworm. So get ready, get prepared, because things are about to get a little wild. So as they explore this entire section and they start to leave the area, you can see that these ships that Chris Roberts and Cloud Imperium Games are pushing look very, very detailed. In fact, the environments look detailed compared to other space games. It really does have that sense of scale that you don't see replicated in a lot of other big, massive games. Something like this in like No Man's Sky would have been like a tiny joke. In Star Citizen, it is literally 1-to-1 scale. So of course, at this moment over here, ladies and gentlemen, the sandworm is going to show up. So no joke, this is something you're about to see, whereas you see these people flying around, this massive sandworm comes up, and this I honestly wanted to be in the game for the longest time. I told myself.
You know what? I want to be in the game for the longest time from this whole demo. It's not even the sandworm. It's not even the javelin. It's not even the broken down cutty that was like, if you remember the whole like presentation, they land and they like check out a few like points of interest with like a broken down cutty that you gotta hack something, whatever, doesn't matter. But out of all of that, I just wanted this fucking sniper scope to fucking work like it does in this presentation. I just want it to be like this, because you know how it looks like in the game right now. It's just like a black screen, and it's like on like white screens, it's even worse. It's completely like broken and ugly, and so yeah. Out of the whole like 2016 June worm clip or presentation or CitizenCon, I just want this. I just want this to work like it does in the CitizenCon video.
I was going to play this game when the sandworm gets brought in. There is no sandworm in the game as far as I've ever seen, okay? In fact, the running joke in the community is, can't wait until this comes out. My grandchildren will understand the hype. Truly, my great-grandchildren will get it. I'm actually just keeping it real. I'm keeping it $1.50 with you. I don't think this is going to be out for a while.
Yeah.
If ever. Now, if we go back to the amount of funding that this game is making,
I mean,
again,
it is out already, but it's not finished. Nowhere near to be like. Maybe in like 15 years is gonna be like closer to a finished state.
I wasn't joking when I said this made over $500 million. Because if you go to Robert Space Industry, the site, and actually when it comes to accountability and it comes to transparency in the game development, nobody can say that Robert Space Industries isn't actually going out of their way to show you that they're actually working on a game. So
the company is called CAG, by the way.
They'll tell you the funding they make. $582 billion US, okay? Now, if you look at their hourly stats, yeah, they even give you the hourly breakdown. Per hour, on average, it seems, for the last couple days, or, well, for literally tonight, they were making to the tune of over $27,445, okay? Every day, it seems like these guys are making some days $1.3 million, some days $979,000, $1.5 million, $1.1 million per month. They're pulling in $7.9 million, $23 million, okay, in one specific month. Ladies and gentlemen, you might be like, well, god damn, how are they actually getting that much money? Well, I'm going to show you exactly how things go. Thankfully, there is actually an event going on, the Invictus launch week 2953, because everything in this goddamn game has to be so in-universe. So, of course, let's look at what's going on. Well, you can buy ships from Drake Interplanetary. These are kind of companies in the world of Star Citizen. Yeah, they've got the lore locked down, okay? They've got company names, characters,
yeah, that was during the event,
and so forth. And if you actually look into their ship right now, how much do you think the average ship costs? Well, the Buccaneer, which is a rough and tumble frontline scrapper from Drake Interplanetary, costs $110 USD. Well, what's that? What's that? Oh, no, that's actually the price right there. But you could fly it today for free because there's an event and a free play moment right now. But of course, there's more vehicles. You can get the Caterpillar, haul anywhere at commercial volume.
This is so true, and this is so wrong about the game. And they would earn much more money if they lower the prices. But what they do over and over again, they raise the prices. And I know that they just like raised the Cutlass, the price of the Cutlass, and I forgot the other one. But last year it was the Caterpillar, and it was like a $15 increase.
Yeah, do you want to be an Amazon logistics freight officer in space? Yeah, $330 right now. And you might be like, whoa, Mudu, that's just the ship value. No. Go to the offer page right now. You can upgrade to $330. All right, that's just how Mafia works. Don't worry, dude. Sometimes it gets cheaper, okay? Like the Corsair, which seeks Uncharted at $250. This is actually what I have for $100. Yeah, actually like cheaped out, okay? This is the cheapest ship that I own, the only ship that...
If it wasn't a Star Citizen YouTuber, this is the only ship that I would have. And honestly, once it got... I'm going to tell you something that I told basically my like content creator friends. Once it got the Million Mile High Club shit thingy in Star Citizen because of the referrals, I started thinking about maybe selling the account, changing the name to something else and selling the account. They need those Herman Millers, yeah. Because I know of a guy that like spent $12,000 of real money, and he gave it to Google to promote his referral code, just to get the same like access to the same area. And it's an apartment. I'm gonna like stream it at some point, and I'm gonna show you how bad it is. It's just like an apartment. It's not even. It's like a bar that you enter, and that's it. You have like 3 broken NPCs there, and that's it. So I would like gladly sell the account for like a lot of money. At some point, if I don't have any money, I'm probably gonna do that. If I'm really like. Avenger is +5 and Hoplite is also +5. Yeah, amazing. At some point, I will probably, if I like have some if I get to a point that I have some actual like financial issues, I'm probably gonna sell the account. But the only thing that I will keep ever is this thing, because this like it's either this or the cutter. They just do their job, and you can do stuff with them, right?
That I own, I spent $100.
No, the cutter is great, but this is better for like you have more space and you have a tractor beam in the back, Kristlin.
There are games that come out with like deluxe editions.
Is that a Kraken? I don't have a Kraken.
Less than this one ship that I bought. Okay, but hey, we all.
The biggest ship that I have in my hangar is the Polaris, and I got it for like. $50 or something like that, maybe a bit more. It was like a CCU for a CCU for a CCU, blah blah blah, and I CCU'd from a referral ship that I got for like $400. Like the price of the referral is $400, and then I upgraded with like stuff that people gave me, and in the end, I spent the money. So yeah.
Financial decisions, don't we? But no, you can buy the Cutlass Blue, which is bad news for the bad guys and bad news for your wallet, $175. And then, of course, you've got the Cutlass Red, which is $135. That's a space ambulance. You want to be a space medic? Want to be a space EMT? Queue up $135. Then, of course, for $40, you...
But he's not saying... Is he going to say that you can buy all the ships in the game, though? Because you can buy all the ships in the game, though.
You can get those space ATVs that we saw a while back. Takes open air excitement to the extreme. Now, you can get the Herald for $85. Now, I want you to, like, get ready for this one. Get prepared. How much do you think the Kraken, which is the self-sustaining flying fortress, is going to cost? $200, $300, $400, $1,650 US, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we're getting to this point. Oh, don't worry, guys. You can get the Kraken Privateer for $2,000. $2,000, you're saying? Muda, that can't be real. Well, that's what they've said the ship value is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, like a lot of ships in this game, those still aren't even the average expensive ones. There's ships more expensive than what I have shown you. And some of those ships are actually rare, meaning only a limited amount of them get made. Yes, I would say Star Citizen is kind of responsible for a lot of ills of modern triple.
These values are to help fund the game. Yeah, sure. But if the cost was lower, for example, if you could buy the Kraken for $400 and you can buy the Buccaneer for $10, more people would buy those. And why am I like? Still, you're gonna have maybe even more money because more people would invest and buy the ships because they're not like suddenly then they're not paying $110 for a Buccaneer. They're paying like 10, right? But the issue is, like, if you ever played DCS, you would see how detailed planes and how detailed like game assets could be. Because in DCS, it's super realistic and you can interact with everything inside your plane. It's modeled after real life. In Star Citizen, once they do everything in like 5 to 10 years, once we get like resource management, engineering, blah, 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 it's still not going to be on the same level as DCS is. And you know what the prices of planes in DCS are? $50. And you can get them like every few months, every couple of months, they do a sale, and you can get them on sale for like 50% off. So tell me why ain't nothing but a heartbreak. Like, tell me why the ships are like in Star Citizen are this high priced. There's no reason for it. Oh, well, each ship is like an art piece. Is it though? Because when you buy an art piece, you're the only one that has that art piece, right? But for these art pieces are the same for every player. That's the issue. It's not like highly customizable. It's not like you can't do anything. The interior is always gonna be the same, even if you buy like a $5 to $40 paint upgrade or whatever. So there's no point in prices being like this high. But sure.
AAA Gaming. Yeah, these are the guys that do digital scarcity with actual digital goods. Now, I personally, as a gamer, as somebody that plays titles digitally, there is no such thing as digital fucking scarcity. If
we will not be able to customize our ships, Jim. That's the issue. They gave up on the whole idea.
Roberts and team want to create a ship worth $1,000 and only sell like a couple hundred of them, yeah, they'll get sold out in minutes. But guess what? That doesn't have to be a limited time drop. They're just going off the psychology of a lot of people who actually will look at these things with FOMO, all right? People who have the fear of missing out, the need to want something a little bit scarce. They're literally appealing to the whales in this situation. Now, this is where I have a serious problem with this game and like the absolute crap performance so far, even in the alpha. And I get it, it's an alpha. But this is an event week where they want to basically raise money. And from what I've understood, they've raised millions of dollars because, of course, whales will buy ships and people will just chuck money at stuff. The thing about this is, had the game been more polished, they probably could have made a lot more. Now, it's interesting that for a game in alpha, they constantly run these events to try to get people to keep constantly funneling money into this project, which honestly should pretty much stick to its roadmap and focus on not just releasing their single player component, but also fixing up the general feel of the multiplayer.
You know what? I'm just looking at the sales from last month, and they're not really that good compared to, what was this? November? IE, right? I mean, it's like 4 million difference, but still, it's not the best month. Like, every time they had a sale in the past few years, every sale was the best month. Although you can say that the ships that they released this time were not like big and all of that. And honestly, I tip my hat to that because I guess they'll like release another fucking capital ship JPEG during IE this year. But I guess we'll see.
entire period of the Invictus launch week, I was marred with server issues, severe lag, trying to...
Yeah, so the Squadron 42 was taken off the store because of a price increase. And I guess they're like trying to see like what the new price is. I don't know. Yeah, Cutter is a much better ship than the Fury, of course. But yeah, Squadron 42 is getting a price increase because it's performing so well, guys. It's so good. Everybody's buying it. Everybody's so hyped about Squadron 42 that it needed to get a price increase. Because it turned from a quadruple A game to a pentuple, whatever. Was the 5 pentuple, right? Penta 5? Pentuple A game, whatever.
To get off of my primary residence, Area 18, the spaceport computers did not work, so I couldn't even summon my actual ship. Couldn't access the vehicle like repair menus had I wanted to.
You know what? I'm gonna say right here, and I said it in my video, but I wasn't like this aggressive back then. I can tell you right now and make a marker, come back to this video, and tell me if I was right or if I was wrong. When they release Squadron 42, it's going to be a flop. Whatever they do, they're setting up the stage for the biggest flop ever.
Thankfully, the community is awesome. There was one player willing to fly us all out to a nearby space station so we could just summon our ships there. Well, I tried doing it. We almost got off the planet, and to be nice, I wanted to pay this guy some money for doing this for us in the first place. It was a nice gesture. Literally trying to transfer credits to another player caused me to have a crash. And again, this wasn't just one crash. Every time...
It wasn't that caused the crash. It was the server that crashed. But
I tried to get off this planet for a goddamn hour. I was crashing over and over and over again. And this was recorded at like 2 in the morning, meaning that peak server time was nowhere close by. Again, this game has some severe issues. And instead of like, you know, fixing that core, instead of having a solid foundation, we're just focused on adding in gameplay elements piecemeal from time to time. Honestly, the entire progress and development of this game is a giant mess, okay? And I can't even blame CIG. They're honestly doing way too much. A single player, a persistent universe, God knows what other projects as well too. And this game is parallel developed as well, so there's different modules being shuffled in from time to time. It is a goddamn mess. And of course, obviously, I want to also say that you don't have to buy every ship with money, from what I understand. You can go to a dealership, which is admittedly pretty cool. It's very immersive, and you can buy ships from there as well.
See, you should have said that when you were looking at the ship, like the ships, like 6 minutes ago. Because it's not a pay-to-win game. It's not a pay... I guess you can call it a pay-to-progress kind of a model, right? Like, War Thunder has like a certain... They are also pay-to-win, but they like most of it is just like pay-to-progress. So you could have said that at the start, but sure.
One thing I wanted to add on top of the limited ships is one of the examples CIG gives is they want to have a ratio of ships, smaller ships to larger. So they want, obviously, not everyone should have a capital class ship on launch day. But to be honest, I don't really see this as sort of a logical point. To be honest, I think most of it is down to the fact that if they have $2,000 ships, they can sell a bunch of them by claiming that they're limited releases and probably incentivize whales to dump more money at a quicker rate. It's not just Star Citizen that does this.
You can do the same thing in Star Citizen Vengeance. You just need to use voice attack.
I would argue Star Citizen's one of the games that laid the foundation. Tons of other games release limited time DLC, so they can incentivize people to just come in and throw their money. It is a wild, wild world of psychological warfare when it comes to getting whales to give away their cash. And Star Citizen, with how much money it's raised, seems to be the goddamn masterclass in it. But again, that's just my theory on it. Obviously, CIG wants...
But see, the issue here is that, yes, they have raised almost $600 million, right? But over a span of 11 years. So, calculator. because I cannot be bothered. Oh, it's here. Okay. So 600 million over 11 years, 54 million a year on average, right? Which is not right, because like first year they had like 2 million, the next year they got like 3 million, next year they got 5 million, etc., etc. So actually no, up until like 2000, what is it? 2000, where's the Star Citizen funding stats? So in the first couple of years they got like up to like 65 million. Yeah. So where's the last one? I think it was like 2015. This is what I'm looking at right now, by the way. 2000 what? Where is it? Oh, for fuck's sake. 2014. So that was 2 years total. And they got 65 million, right?
Wants to keep a certain
it's
ratio
not
of
bad,
capital class
but also
ships to
it's not the same amount of money that actual like AAA companies get for working on a project of like, because you can't compare this game to anything else, because this is like a sextuple A game basically. But what would be like the project that was like similar scale? I guess Red Dead Redemption 2, even though it's not like space and you don't have like planets and all of that, you do have some like amazing innovative ideas, and you have some like things that were so like, if you you can like search it on YouTube. I don't want to do it now, but you can see that like they animated a guy making a fence and using a hammer on a nail, and it's not that like he just resets and takes the same nail and like uses it on the same spot. No, he actually does that. He actually makes the whole fence, and all of that is so like complex and so detailed, like Star Citizen is trying to be. And Star Citizen is like more expansive than and expensive, of course, at the same time than Red Dead Redemption 2, right?
Ships. I personally don't really believe their reasoning. But
Dude, it has all the A's. Like all the A's. It's not even sextuple, it's fucking all the A's. Right?
Again, that's the entire that's just analyzing this game.
It's just like, when is this thing gonna release? That's like all the A's.
General. Anyways, let's get back to the piece. So here's the other reality over here. You can buy other ships like the Polaris, for instance. The Polaris is a nimble Corvette-class capital ship. And if you look into the buying options, it's $750. Now you might be like,
dude, it's going to be like $1,200
I can fly it.
when it releases.
The ship is in concept, meaning it hasn't actually been made. Yeah, Chris Robert Space Industries has actually found a way to sell goddamn JPEGs to people, just on the hope that one day they'll get to fly this ship. When will they fly it? I don't know. Maybe in a year, maybe in a month, maybe 10 years. Who fucking knows? But of course, at this moment in time, what you can say is they really focus on the lore. Believe it or not, buying a goddamn ship in this video game is like going out to an actual car dealership and reading through things like the brochure, getting a bit of the lore, understanding what your ship has, getting the insurance on it, making the pledge. And as they develop these ships, they give you a loaner, from what I understand, so you can play something similar until they finally develop this ship. It's kind of like if you pre-ordered the Cybertruck from Tesla, and instead of, waiting for years until whenever that thing materializes, Tesla gives you...
It's the same with DCS, though. It's the same with, like, most other games. You gotta have context to what you're buying, right? So I don't see the issue with that. I don't really, like, read any of that, but I don't see the issue behind having some lore. I don't like lore. I don't like appreciate lore as much as people would want me to, but whatever.
A Model Y loaner in exchange
Some people love
until they release a Cybertruck. Obviously, this is the digital world. It doesn't cost RSI anything to give you a goddamn loaner when you're paying them $700 plus for a in-concept ship. Now, don't get me wrong, the ships are very impressive. In fact, every ship that they have in this game really is unique. There are ships that have one-man operations, and then there's entire luxury ships with beds, bars, drones, entire user cockpits that you can go around in. You can rent some of these ships if you have enough money in the game.
That's true. In DCS, you get a working plane in-game instead of a JPEG. That is true, yeah.
One of my buddies, Tyler, actually did rent a ship that was really, really cool to look at. And then, of course, when you look at the price tag for said ship, you don't actually want to buy it, because I don't want to make terrible goddamn financial decisions. But of course, at the end of the day, it's because of these luxury ships and it's because of these super expensive digital purchases that from the outside looking in, any normal person would go, what the fuck is going on here? It's because of these ships that RSI is able to fund themselves so heavily. And honestly, it really shows you that they don't really need to complete the game. They are making solid microtransaction money literally by creating these ships, some of them even in concepts, and selling them.
Can we even call like this microtransactions? Because I would call like Star Citizen's transactions macro transactions, because like, and yeah, also he's not wrong. They don't need to finish the game ever. They're set
them to people, and with the hopes that one day they'll get to fly them in the metaverse that is Star Citizen. Could you imagine if Rockstar Games, every other update for GTA Online, decided to create a brand new like sports car and actually go down the road of, you want this, you got to pay us like $200, $300 to get access to the new Infernus model. That would be insane. But hey,
see, Rockstar is one of the best companies, best like AAA companies that understand that first you need a great game, and then if you're gonna do microtransactions, don't do it like Blizzard does. Don't do it like Gaijin does. Don't do it like EA does. Mega transactions, yeah. So, yeah, Rockstar sells virtual cash on the shark cards. They also have some questionable marketing tactics and monetization tactics, sure. But they are not as bad as EA, for example.
That's kind of not far off the mark from what I see over here at Star Citizen. Again, people who look into this game from the outside can kind of look at the community as almost a cult, people suffering from Stockholm Syndrome at this point. And again, if it wasn't for the fact that the community is kind of awesome, yeah, that's the impression any normal human being is going to develop. Even on Robert Space Industries, they literally give you what the ship pipeline is. So when it's in concept, artists and designers determine the concept look, 3D renders, functional design for a ship. It's not even the final thing. Then you've got the long-term production, which basically they have the development work planned and added to the roadmap. Then, of course, you've got active production. Then it's hangar ready, so you can just watch.
Plus, Rockstar, you can switch between online and story, just like in like Star Citizen was, but now it's a separate game. Why? Money. It's just money.
Watch it, and then once it's flight ready, you can take it to space. So this is exactly how ships get released. It's insane. You're pre-ordering.
Also, yeah, DCS gives you like free trials for every plane or every module that you want to buy. So you can check it out twice a year.
For the concept of the ship, all right? It's like going to a car show and buying the concept car. You don't even know if they're going to make it. Hell, you don't even know if it's actually a functional vehicle at that point. It's just a fucking pipe dream. You are paying for a JPEG pipe dream. Stop it. Seek help. Now, the development of Star Citizen is no joke. If you actually look at the roadmap, they are very, very honest, giving you a very massive progress tracker that just shows you pretty much when these modules are made, when they're being developed, what's coming on with like the newest updates. So for instance, with 3.2, which is tentative for Q3 2023.
3.20?
They've got extra gameplay
3.2 happened like fucking 6 years ago.
add-ons. For example, you can do ship trespass. You can do...
DCS is nowhere near the amount of maps, though. Just seeing. Oh, okay, so here's the issue with when you're talking about scale, right? Because whenever I say that DCS is like has better monetization than Star Citizen, that like DCS is more complex than Star Citizen, people say, well, you got to look at the scale. So first of all, are we talking about scale as in between planets because there's just empty space, like coordinates, and that's it, and the empty space is not utilized at all? It's as utilized as your Carrack is. You have a med bay, which would be like, let's say you're on Crusader. You have your med bay, which would be like fucking yellow. Then you have your cockpit, which will be like Crusader itself, and then you have like you get my point, right? So what's the point in having scale if it's not used at all, right? In DCS, you have maps that are like 400 or more, 4,000 or something. Crystal knows better because she like did some events and stuff for DCS, but it has like 10 or 11 maps that are massive. When I say massive, you can see DCS, like the map that you get with flying cliffs, I think. So this map here, open it. This map here, so Ukraine is here. This is like Turkey. This is Russia. Crimea is here. Yeah, Crimea is here, right? So it's an actual like map, like parts, a slice of our world, of our planet, basically. And of course, yeah, they don't have the whole planet. By like what? Why would they? Because like even if you had that, no plane has enough fuel to fly around, fly around the fucking planet. Caucasus is, or how do you fucking? So in Serbia we call it Kafkas, and I'm pretty sure that like Russia and Ukraine also call it Kafkas. So how do you can't even fucking tell me over chat, but I'm gonna say Caucasus, Caucasus. I don't know. It's several hundred nautical miles squared. Yeah, they're fucking huge Caucasus. Thank you, Grislin. Did you just change your avatar? So yeah, it's a huge map, and also you can like you're not like if you spawn your F-16, for example, or even F-18 with all the fuel pods without any guns, just fuel pods, you will not be able to fly across the whole map because it's realistic, right? Maybe you're gonna like glide without fuel to a degree, but you're still not gonna like make it across the whole map, basically. So Wildlands has the entire map of Bolivia. Yeah. And the main point is that the whole map is utilized. And like that, like you make a map for a game where you want to like, okay, so we want to have this here, this here, this here. We need to make a map for that, right? But in Star Citizen, they're like, okay, we're gonna just make a bunch of shit, and then at some point we're gonna maybe plunk some stuff like bunkers and all of that on the planets and blah blah blah. Most of the planets are just like barren wastelands, and the space in between the planets and the moons is just like unused. DCS is more like Arena Commander, I guess. It's not. DCS is like Star Citizen when it comes to like flying your ships and all of that.
new missions like receive a consignment. Then, of course, you've got the progress tracker for various other elements like gameplay story systems, lighting teams, you've got sandboxes, you've got AI content teams, so on and so forth. So obviously, they do give you transparency. But the reality of the game development world with Star Citizen is it's such a modularly designed
This is what Star Citizen did. First, they made ships, then they gave places to fly the ship, and then they're gonna give us a reason to fly in between those places.
That even when you look at different elements, like I do remember
it's
there
amazing,
was a
but it
moment where they
works.
switched from CryEngine all the way to Amazon Lumberyard. Yeah, it seems like CryEngine, while it looked pretty, wasn't really perfect for rendering and
Amazon Lumberyard is an updated CryEngine.
Entire worlds or a goddamn universe. And so the entire development team switched to Amazon's Lumberyard, which was a fork of CryEngine, but it was actually back-ended with Amazon AWS, and it allowed them to achieve the dreams that they wanted. Then there was the FPS module, which, again, I believe another team worked on it, and then, of course, entirely, there were some issues with having that system work within the current Star Citizen system. Again, when you're designing your game in parallel, it can cause issues.
Dude, Rycops, we have played, so, Kreslin made, like, in that, like, mission builder, in DCS, she made, continuous mission that we played for a couple of weeks. It wasn't like every day, but like you had turns, but you would play all of those turns, and after that turn, you would see like, okay, so we won this battle, we lost this battle, we lost this many tanks, we lost this many planes, blah 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 blah. So we have money, we have like what's it called? We have starter money, and then like with capturing certain airfields and points of interest, you're gonna have like either more money or more income for the next round, because like those points of interest generate income basically if they are captured intact. If not, then you're fucked. And if you lose them, you're gonna lose the amount of money. So it's always like a struggle of are we winning this actual war against the AI or not? You can also make it to be like against other players. So there's endless fun to be made with DCS.
Issues trying to fuse all of it into one piece, especially for a game that is as ambitious as Star Citizen is. Then, of course, one of the interesting aspects was server meshing and persistent streaming, which is possible, and if they actually achieve this, they are making more money off of the technology they create than the actual game. Let me go over what this is. So it's CitizenCon 20.
Does he know that persistent streaming is in the game already?
2951, we took a deep dive into the transformative technologies of server meshing. Now, server meshing isn't new. There's plenty of games that do it. Some metaverse experiences allow you to have 50,000 people in one server because they mesh and combine servers together. But what Star Citizen wants to do is release persistent streaming in the first version of the replication layer. So what is the current state of server meshing tech? Most people, when talking about server meshing, usually think about the very final step of the technology where we put servers together. The truth is, before the final step, there's a long chain of pre-requirements and fundamental technology changes. So object container streaming, okay? For server meshing to work, we first required technology that allowed us to dynamically bind unbind entities via the streaming system, as this isn't something the engine supported when we started. So we released client-side object container streaming. Once this initial stepping stone was out of the door, the technology that allows us to dynamically bind unbind entities on the client had to be enabled on the server as well. Then you've got entity authority and authority transfer, static and dynamic server meshes, so on and so forth. Now, from what I understand, the TLDR here is basically they want you to have, for example, if you have this Coke can, right? I could throw this Coke can on one planet, right? Fly to another planet, and then do my business, take a piss, fly back to the other planet, maybe log off, take a drink, and I should be able to find the same Coke can or the same item or again, just having persistence throughout the world. Now,
see, the issue with that was always not that it can't be done, but that it's not done because of a reason that I guess CEG is like realizing just now, that the technology is not that good. You need better tech. You need better fucking servers. You need like continuum computing and all that shit. Not continuum. What is it? Quantum computing. For that shit to work. Because like they got PES in the game, and then what was the point? It just broke the game.
Now, again, I would argue that...
And then they needed to, like, give a server cleanup, which every other game has. So, PS was basically a letdown for most of us. Yes, they can probably, like, sell that tech to other people or other games or other companies, whatever, and then, like, make money out of it. Sure, great. But, like... those companies are also going to have to use server cleanup. So in the end, it's going to be the same as every other game. Like in DayZ, you drop a thing and it persists there until the timer runs out. Or if you pick it up, you're going to reset the timer. Some things, it depends on like how the server is set. Some things disappear on a server restart. Sure, fine, why not? But some things like persist for fucking weeks. I had a car that I ditched. I think the server just like got reset. Not reset, but like wiped. The server that I played on. I didn't play in like a couple of weeks. But we had a car that we dropped like right outside our base because like the maximum amount of cars on our server was like 7 per I'm gonna say org or per clan, whatever. And we had like 8, so we like ditched 1, and it was there for fucking 2.5 weeks until I stopped playing. And I know that it was there even afterwards because in the last wipe, we also ditched the car, and it was there for like a month. We lockpicked a door. If you saw like on my second channel, I have a video of us like destroying like 4 people that were starting to build a base, and I like lockpicked the doors so we don't get destroyed by other people, right? Did I see the raids guide about Squadron 42? No, I'm posted in my community Discord, and I'll check it out. So I locked the doors, and those doors were locked for 2 months. So other games can do that, right? For a door, it's easy. It's either 1 or 0. 1 being locked, 0 being unlocked, right? But for like physicalized 3D items with like physics to them, it's a bit more difficult. And that's why Star Citizen is having issues with PES. Because you gotta like account for all the shit and plus the physics that are gonna put the strain on the server. That's the issue. That's why we have server cleanup, and that's why server cleanup made the whole fucking PES release completely like... They made us ask ourselves, like, what was the point in waiting for this for this long to get the same thing that every fucking game has?
Maybe this would be a bad use of resources. Maybe this would be technically infeasible, and sometimes you don't really need to have the Coke can be always present on the server just for the sake of immersions. Okay, so the Coke can is a bit of an extreme example, a bit of an impractical example. Let me give you some practical ideas of why this technology would be amazing. So for a game that is an MMO, a persistent universe, having one server where you can see not, tens or 20 ships, hundreds of ships, okay? When you're flying towards these big planets, you eventually want to see like every single player on that planet somewhat interact. You also want to have a system where, let's say some person's ship crashes in space. You want another player to be able to find that shipwreck and potentially salvage it or do something. We want to see history and records
But also there's another issue if that happens and you're just flying and you have that shipwreck in front of you, which you don't know that because like you're too far, but you're like flying like full speed, and then you crash into it, and you're like, the fuck just happened? It's because of the PAS, because there was a shipwreck there.
Of what has happened
Yeah,
in the
space
world.
garbage.
That is, I guess, the point of this technology. And if it is completed, not only would it be amazing from a networking perspective, from a technological perspective, but it would absolutely add an extreme layer of immersion and even like player world building if they were able to succeed here. The thing is, this is an incredibly tall order, and for CIG to accomplish this is almost next to impossible. So I hope the best, but you got to be realistic in these scenarios. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is possible, and it is,
what's up with his camera
guys
though?
To achieve this technology would be a massive undertaking. And to understand if they pull it off...
Yeah, also you have ship carcasses in front of landing pads. Like, I have a friend that sent me a picture. Can I open the picture without showing you the name? So this is what he did. You gotta give me a second. Fucking open. Thank you. So this is one picture. He wrecked his ships just outside the hangar. And this is the next picture, what he was doing. He was just hull scraping the wrecks from the hangar itself, making money. Why not? There's a way to exploit it, right? But also, the issue with like having stuff in front of the hangar door is a serious issue because like you can't leave or enter. So like...
going to change the way...
Even though this tech is amazing, what's the point in having this tech if you gotta like remove most of the junk?
Way we do MMOs and networks entirely. This is actually massive. And of course, it's a tall order, and given how Star Citizen's development has been going on, whether they achieve it is still honestly up in the air. Now, the way that Star Citizen works online is they're supposed to have like 100 star systems. So far in the alpha, there's only one, which is a Stanton system. And the thing is, whereas most online games typically do instances, where if you play something like Destiny 2, there's a hub world that you can jump into, and you can interact with a bunch of players in a hub location. But if you ever actually want to do a mission, or like a raid, or a dungeon, then you team up with a few friends and you create an instance. An instance is where you basically connect.
Jim, you're not wrong, but also we need the tractor beams to be enabled in the landing zones. You know why? Because yesterday I wanted to, yes, it's 2 days ago. I don't know. I just hopped in so I can try salvage again. And there was a Cuddy Black just outside my hangar door, completely destroyed with a bunch of crates inside of it. And I was like in a, whatever, Cuddy Black, it doesn't matter. And I just wanted to tractor beam those boxes into my Cuddy and leave, right? The tractor beam, the multi-tool, is disabled in most of the landing zones. So...
with 3, 4, 6, however many players, and there's nobody else that is jumping into that instance. Star Citizen doesn't operate that way. If you want to fly to another part of the Stanton system, you're sitting there and flying in the same space, the same instance as every other player, technically. Meaning that if I'm quantum traveling between one planet to another planet, I can stop and be part of the server and be an actual entity in deep space somewhere. And of course, the same could happen for any other player on the other side of this galaxy, so on and so forth. That's the world they want. And it's cool, it's interesting, but how feasible is it when you're...
By the way, if you didn't see Astro Chronicles, I guess, video on the Starfarer Fury carrier, you gotta check it out. It's amazing.
Including potentially 100 star systems. Now, ladies and gentlemen, at this moment in time, I want to talk about Squadron 42. Up until this point, all I've been talking about is the persistent universe mode, which arguably is the reason most people play Star Citizen. Before we get into the gameplay, to describe the niche that Star Citizen is hitting, it's kind of like that, kind of Tarkov niche, where people jump in, they get loot, they build up, resources until the next server wipe.
I think I left a comment. You know what? You just need to remove those like back legs or whatever you want to call them on the... Zero Pile.
Zero Pile super chatted $9.99.
Thank you for the $10.
Do you think if one of the big publishers bought out Cloud Imperium Games that they will be able to get their development on track and not all over the place?
Okay, let me just respond to Astro. So, just like, yeah, that's Starfarer's landing gear. That is true, unfortunately. But those like legs are in the way for the Furies. I almost said Star Furies. Thank you for the $10, Zero Pile. I don't know. See, like, that's what happened with Freelancer, right? It's the same thing that happened with the Freelancer, and Microsoft bought, what was it, Digital Anvil? And yes, they released it, but not in the state that Chris Roberts wanted to like release it in, right? It didn't have the scope. So the issue is, and I'm working on a video, and you can check it out. It's gonna be out in a couple of days. I've been working on that video for a week, actually for like fucking 3 months, but I'm editing and like recording stuff for a week now. It's either gonna have like 2,000 views or it's gonna have like 1 million views. So I'm hoping for 1 million views, but I guess we'll see. In that video, you will see how like big game developers, like AAA game developers, ruin their games and how greed takes over the whole thing. And marketing has like, we complain about marketing in Star Citizen. You gotta see what other games do and like game developers. It's fucking crazy, right? So, for example, like if you remember Fallout 76, right? That thing got released in that state because of marketing. Because they needed to release that game at that fucking point in time. It didn't matter that it was broken, right? We just gotta release it. We gotta make money. It's the same with like Blizzards and Overwatch, right? It just works, yeah. It's probably gonna be the same with the Starfield, right? Overwatch 2 is worse. Because at least Star Citizen says, well, we did promise something and we will deliver on it at some point. We will give you that at some point. But Overwatch 2 says, oh, we're making Overwatch 2, which is going to be a whole new game with like PvE and storylines and all of that. And then like 3 years, they kill Overwatch 1 with that like statement. People just don't want to play it. They're just waiting for Overwatch 2 for like 2 or 3 years. Then they release Overwatch 2 and say, oh, well, shit. See, we didn't have enough time for PvE, but we will release it. Then you get Overwatch 2, which is basically a downgrade to Overwatch 1 because you don't have all the things that you had in Overwatch 1. The only thing that they added was the battle pass system and like all the shit in the shops. I just saw like there was like an article, and yeah, I will never find it in my global chat, but I posted it a couple of days ago, and yeah, here. So it will take you 327 years to get all the originally free items in Overwatch 2. So all the items that I got for free with like loot boxes that you didn't open with a key, but it was just like a random thing and you would like just open them and get something. You need 327 years of your life to get to like grind to get those. Or you can spend money, right? So comparing Overwatch 2 or Blizzard to CEG is honestly rough comparison. It's not the worst one, but also they're not as bad as Blizzard Activision is, or Activision Blizzard, whatever.
It's really just centered around immersion.
But yeah, if in the end, to like sum the whole thing up, if Microsoft, EA, whatever, big brand, big name company, AAA company comes and like buys CAG and starts working on Star Citizen. Star Citizen would be released, like they will fix up the game, what we have right now, just for it to be playable, basically. And then they will like add stuff as expansions. That's the issue. Dude, like Microsoft Train Simulator, I don't know if you know this. Look at this shit. Wait, this is the Steam page, right? Oh, fucking hell. Okay. Let me... Oh, no. Give me a second. I think I have my Steam open. Yeah. Right, where the fuck is it gonna open?
And,
Where is it? Please? Store? There we go. So... Come on, open. Right, look at this shit. Look at this shit. These are the expansions for the train simulator. $707 different bundles and stuff. There is 400 and something fucking expansions for the train simulator. Dudes, 487. I just like mentioned that in my video yesterday, so I know the exact number. 480 fucking 7 DLCs that you gotta buy for the train simulator series. See, so like ships are not really expansions in Star Citizen. Yes, they are a way to like get money so they can continue developing, but they're not like you can't compare them. Like the only way you can compare Star Citizen to Train Simulator would be like you gotta pay for the Pyro DLC, right? It's as bad as the Sims DLC packs. Yeah, it's as bad as fucking everything. What is X-Plane? X-Plane 12? The fuck is X-Plane? Well, 7 expansions, it's not that bad. It's not 487. Oh, you were joking. Okay. Sorry. I didn't get it. So, yeah, anyway, let's continue with the video.
And whatnot. It's really kind of like Tarkov in space without some of that insane, like, firefight realism. That's kind of the best way that I can put it. But of course, if we actually look into the entire game over here, Star Citizen had Squadron 42. Now, initially, these were supposed to be the same games. This is the single-player component. And at this moment, you should be able to buy this individually. Or at least you could until a few days ago when apparently you can't even pledge to get this game anymore. You know why? Because if you go to the pledge page, it's apparently giving you error 404. Yeah, it's actually Squadron 404 at this point. Not even goddamn available. Yeah, Squadron 42 start.
Oh, this is... I just need this shit to be fucking faster. Faster! Where is it? Where is it? Okay. Merch available in my merch store, down in the description of the video.
The adventure. You'll experience unprecedented emotion and life with stunning, realistic characters and cutting-edge...
If you want to buy a Squadron 404 t-shirt or a hoodie, I gotcha.
Performance by Mark Hamill, Gary Oldman, and Gillian Anderson. Yeah, I actually, as sad as it sounds, I'm pretty sure that Mark Hamill and Gary Oldman may not even make it until this game actually releases. As sad as that fucking
More like Gary Deadman, am I right?
Shit. Embark on a cinematic single-player adventure as a rookie Navy combat and pilot in the Star Citizen universe. Okay, all that bullshit aside, you want to know when the last update was? Get ready for this one. Watch the update, okay? This is apparently the latest goddamn update right over here. Squadron 42, bringing gameplay to life. This is 5 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, 5 years ago, April 26, 2018, was when we got the last update.
Yeah, I gotta like check my apartment for some kids because I'm full of like dad jokes. I'm not. I might have a kid like laying around here, but I'm not sure.
For the guy,
I don't have a kid laying around here. No, that was just like a. Never mind.
Goddamn single player component. Now, in my opinion, Squadron 42 should have been out well over years ago. This should have been the one priority for Cloud Imperium Games. And I get it, selling ships and JPEGs is a lot more profitable.
Apparently it is.
Let me explain the long-term goal here.
The dogs are sleeping upstairs with my girlfriend. Why? This just all sounds fucking wrong. They're sleeping besides the bedroom.
Okay? If you want to get people invested in your universe,
shut up.
I think the easiest way, especially for a space game that's built off of the and hype of Freelancer and Wing Commander, to add that single player component. You know, if you have Squadron 42, and yes, it is a universe, maybe it's not the whole universe, but you can explore, you know, you can do missions, you can do contracts like hunt NPCs.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in fucking, what's it called, like quicksand, and I'm trying to like get out, but it's just pulling me in, and it's like every time I open my mouth, it's worse.
You know, trade resources, so on and so forth. If you can develop and understand the core gameplay loops for the MMO in a single-player environment that is polished, which, again, Star Citizen is effectively, as far as I'm understanding, Freelancer 2, or really what Chris Roberts' end goal is, then that would have been a great way to hook people in, and then immediately when you're done with Squadron 42, you could just jump into the persistent universe and start there. I believe that's what the idea is, but honestly, it would have been amazing if we would have gotten more updates and a much more concrete vision and detail on the actual Squadron 42 system. In fact, the only thing...
You know what? I'm pretty sure that like this year they're gonna like give us another vertical slice, and then they're gonna say like, okay, just 2 more years and it's gonna be out. And it's going to be amazing.
With the only time we ever got to see a vertical slice was years ago in regards to Squadron 42.
5 or 6 years ago.
Updates. Granted, I haven't been following it a lot since then, but this vertical slice is a great example as to like what they should have released. It had enough content, at least seemingly, to flesh out a single player experience for somebody. Granted, again, it wouldn't be all 100 star systems, but again, to have a sandbox for you to explore, get the feel right and understand, and really get the lore down would have been a great, great springboard into jumping into the persistent universe. Again, the development of this game is...
When it starts as live, I guess next week.
So weird. Had they focused on these things, I feel like a lot of the criticism would have been taken away and people would have had something tangible to play while they wait for this server meshing persistent universe dream to eventually...
No, it should be on Friday, but it's like already Saturday for me, but tomorrow is going to be like Saturday.
Materialize. At least
they just skipped it this week. For some
game
reason,
to truly understand what Star Citizen is all about as that develops. Now, from what I understand, this was supposed to come out 2018, 2019, but this is basically indefinitely delayed. At this moment in time, it almost feels like nobody wants to talk about Squadron 42. From time to time, I'll get emails from RSI like, hey guys, we got some updates for the single player. Yeah, where's the actual gameplay? Where are the missions? When is it releasing? If it releases at all. okay? Yes, this is the one feature that I wanted the whole time, and I'm sure a lot of other Star Citizen players also wanted this, okay? The ability for people to play some single player. If anything, if you logically think about it, this would have been great for people to just start off in. Having a single player that would allow you to understand the mechanics of the game, to get a feel for the universe, to embed yourself into the lore, would have been a very, very pivotal key to get people hooked onto the persistent universe, the MMO side. Up until this point, the MMO is in a perpetual alpha state where, again, the game isn't the best functioning, and the single-player component is pretty much vaporware at this moment in time. The fact that they even allowed you to pay money to pledge for this when there was no update for years is downright criminal, in my opinion. Now listen, at this moment in time, I've talked a lot of crap about CIG. If it's one thing about Cloud Imperium Games is Chris Roberts and the team behind this definitely have a perfectionist mentality. At this moment in time, Chris doesn't have anybody from corporate companies like Microsoft, EA, whatever, to basically come in and put some reins on him. Tell him, listen, buddy, okay, you might want to go and create some kart racing minigame for Star Citizen, but you gotta at least have the goddamn game made. No, at this moment in time, as long as people keep giving Star Citizen pledge money, they don't really have a reason to complete the project. They don't have a reason to complete the single player on time. They don't even have a reason to complete the MMO on time. For them, as long as they sell
that is not entirely true. Like they have a reason if they want to make more money, because if you take a look, oh shit. So Cloud Imperium Games stock. It's completely private company. So if you take a look at like Activision Blizzard, and I did that for my video, I did a lot of research for my video. You can see this is a 5 years, so you can see a dip before 2020, and then like 2020 happened. Everybody was playing games, so obviously there's gonna be like oh, you can't even see this because of my camera. Sorry. So this is 2020, and obviously there's gonna be like a rise. I don't think they like either like. I don't even think they released anything in 2020. Could be like a mobile game, because 2019 they announced like a Diablo mobile game and they got like booed off stage basically. But then you can see a dip here, and then you don't see a rise here. It's just like a flat line. It's not going up, right? And they got sold to Microsoft. Because like this is basically financially struggling for them because all of the expenses and not enough income. And then like, yeah, you could say that like this is good income, but this is flatlining and this is not good. And if CEG comes to that point when they're just like flatlining and like basically having all the money wasted on next projects and like paying developers and all of that, this flat line is just gonna say, okay, so we gotta either extend the development even more, right? And I'm talking about CG right now. I'm not talking about Activision Blizzard. We either extend it even more because we cannot employ more people. Like we don't have enough money to employ more people. And then the funding goes even more down because who the fuck, like after fucking 12 years plus how many years until they got to the flat line. See what I'm saying? Like once they get to that point, they're basically fucked. So they need to go upwards all the time. They have to have like every sale needs to be the best. Like every sale event needs to be, every month needs to be the best month for Star Citizen. If the trend goes down and it just flatlines, that means that the game itself is going to be like in perpetual development, which it is right now. But at least like they're employing more and more people. They're currently on like 900 people. Last year it was 700 to 800, like 750. The year before that it was like 600 to 750. So yeah, they gotta grow or they will die, or the project dies. Unless they like sell it to another company like Microsoft or whatever. And then the project dies again in our hearts because it's not going to be the same game. Because if you think the monetization of Star Citizen is bad, take a look at fucking EA Sports. Like what EA Sports does. Right?
Dream of this being real life, but
I'm not saying it is bad, but it's not as terrible as it could be.
Space. That's all that ever matters. And yeah, you could make an argument that as long as the core Star Citizen community is happy, then shouldn't we all be happy? Listen, at the end of the day, there are a lot of people like me that are just completely jaded from the entire situation.
With his cutty.
At this moment in time, I don't even care if Star Citizen comes out, because at this point, I've seen other franchises come and create entire experiences, expansions. At this moment, Elite Dangerous pretty much got announced the same time as this. Elite as a franchise has been around forever. They've come out with their game. They've come out
Fixer,
with
but like,
packs.
Here's the thing. So Fixer said the problem is that when people leave, like the BMM crew, you lose a lot of invested talent. That is true. But what can you do about that, right? It's the whole team that left. So they left, and I don't think it was even the money. If the whole team leaves, it's probably not the money. It's probably something else. It's probably having some issues with a person or multiple people, right? So, yeah. And even if it is money, if they don't have the money to give them like more money, to give them a raise, then they're just gonna leave. Of course, that's how it works. If you get a better job offer, and I think somebody just said that like Paul Jones is in Ubisoft now. Legion is not here anymore to confirm or deny that, but yeah.
Pretty much got announced the same time as this. Elite as a franchise has been around forever. They've come out with their game, they've come out with expansion packs, they've even got bad press associated. No Man's Sky got announced, released, panned by the gaming community, then updated to an absolutely stellar space game. And of course, Star Citizen
not
is
comparable to Star Citizen. All of this, I played No Man's Sky. I tried Elite Dangerous, didn't like it, but No Man's Sky is actually a good game, but it's not comparable to Star Citizen. Unfortunately, if it was, I would just like play No Man's Sky. Honestly.
Sitting there with its dick in its hand and no end in sight. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, what is the game like? Ooh, Muda, let's talk about the game. So this is the second part of the video where I actually really want to talk about the game.
The bugs are the best part about the fucking game.
And why I do kind of like it. So let me explain something about Star Citizen. Star Citizen is a game that you can run on your computer, and you need a pretty good computer to run Star Citizen. I have some of the most top-of-the-line rig that you can buy. I have a good processor, I have a good GPU, I have a crap ton of...
Now, you gotta tell us exactly what you have. Exactly what you have, or get the fuck out.
Fast RAM. And no matter what, waking up in the hub worlds for this game will always run at 30 to maybe 40 frames, 60 if I'm goddamn lucky. The,
I'm trying to find Paul Jones's Twitter, but I'm not.
Space flying, the planets themselves actually do run at a pretty decent frame
success.
rate. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. What is the experience like? Well, first you download Star Citizen, download around 100 gigabytes of game data, and then you start the game off. Now, at this moment, you can create a character, and the character creation is actually very decent. Then, of course, you pick...
character creation is dog shit, honestly. Compared to any other, like, new title, it's...
where you want to spawn in. Now, you got a few options. You've got Area 18, you've got...
It needs to be, like, more Star Citizen-y. More advanced.
Lorville, which is where I picked, and a few other hub areas.
Ooh, he picked Lorville. He's going to have like 20 FPS.
There's multiple shops, there's multiple locations. There are entire transit systems that are in these locations to take you from your habitation all the way to the spaceport and beyond. Now, when you wake up, I think this level of immersion is where it's at. Once you create your character, you wake up in a habitat, you get out of bed, and then of course you can bring up your mobiGlass, which is sort of your hub, your PDA, your smartphone, if you will, which allows you to view your standings, your contract, allows you to trade, so on and so forth. Now, at this moment in time, you have a few options for what kind of missions you want to go in. You can choose delivery missions, you can choose bounty hunter missions, you can choose repair missions, you can choose security missions. There is a fair amount of gameplay loops to go down, which
Why does he not have these salvage
If you want to be a
missions?
delivery driver, you can do that. If you want to be somebody that fights AI all day, you can do that. If you want to do dogfights, you can do that. There is a gameplay loop for every type of player, which I really like. Now, of course, at this moment in time, before you even pick a mission, you got to take the elevator all the way to the ground floor from your habitation, find your way through the maps in the game, not in your mobile glass. No. The maps that are visible in the actual habitation. This game is very immersive. Once you figure out how to take the train, the tram system, or whatever, to the spaceport, you then go all the way through, go through security, actually go to a module where you call up your ship in the hangar bay, you go to said hangar...
You know what? I'm already bored with this explanation, honestly. That's like how boring this whole procedure is, or process. You gotta go through every time when you die. Or when you, like, log on.
Bay, get into your ship, which again, all ships are different, so you got to figure out how to open it, get inside, get into the ship, get it flight ready, call up communications, call up the actual landing services, get clearance, and fly out into the ship. Now, of course, getting off of the planet is its own beauty. The game has some brilliant cloud technology that, again, I can't stress enough. It looks gorgeous. This game is a very pretty looking game.
He never played DCS.
But once you get into the old space over there, you pick a mission, you fly through quantum space travel, and bam, you do a bunch of jobs. Now, initially, when you start off into the game, you will be doing a lot of boring jobs. For me, I did a lot of delivery work because it allowed me to figure out how to fly the ship, take it off, land. It gave me my flight, my wings, so to speak. And honestly, I wasn't really comfortable shooting down planes yet. I really wasn't ready for that. And also, the game's like FPS combat is either the AI you go up against is downright brain dead, or they have perfect precise aim through walls. So I wasn't ready for anything yet. I just wanted to get my bearings. So I did a lot of delivery missions, and while I made some good money, I wanted to start doing other things. So I started to do some
I've said to myself, I will not do another, maybe on stream, but off stream, I will not do a single bunker mission until we get the bunker update, the new like UGFs.
Basically told me, go to this location, go down into this like bunker, kill 10 enemies, and generally I could loot them for some money and come back, store them onto my ship, and sell them whenever I get back to a hub world. There were dogfights that I did, which were fun. There were searching assignments where I actually went to derelict stations, got out an EVA, literally floated around until I found whatever the game wanted me to do, and so on and so forth. There were cave systems that I could go into and explore just so I could actually figure out the mysteries and the lore behind some of these locations. Again, Star Citizen has a lot of stuff right now in Stanton for you to actually explore. If you wanted to just sit down and do these gameplay loops, which admittedly do sound boring on paper, but once you get immersed into how the game plays, this can be something that I will say is enjoyable. Obviously, if you put hundreds of hours into it, you're going to find a lot of repetition. Now, I want to just specify, one of the loops was mining, which from what I've heard is relatively profitable. This involved me going and buying an actual buggy, sticking it into my vehicle, because yes, you can actually put smaller vehicles within larger vehicles, which admittedly is pretty
He got
cool.
the DS.
Now, I imagine the capital ships might be like the Pillar of Autumn at some point.
Oh, the poor thing. He got the DS.
But of course, I took this ship, I flew it down to a rocky planet where I effectively drove my Grey Cat ROC around.
Oh, this is not a
and
DS. Okay.
effectively started mining for items, which again, you know, it's a boring task, but once I had enough, I could go to a hub station, sell it as a commodity, and that is generally what I wanted to do in practice. My first few runs weren't that great because obviously I didn't pilot well, and I actually crashed a full supplies worth into a station, which granted I tried to get this back by EVA flighting and trying to see if I could somehow drag this vehicle into my ship. Didn't work, lost everything. Normally in a game I would quit, but there's something about the immersiveness which I can somewhat appreciate, but also I can understand doing this for 30-40 hours as a grind requires the toughest of wills. Now, obviously, this game is, like any game, fun with friends. And so I got to play with about 3 of my friends. I got to play with my friends Carson, Nick, and Tyler, and we had a great time flying around doing these missions with each other. But I think one of the coolest experiences in gaming was actually going to Microtech for the first time. Now, up until this point, the Stanton system wasn't entirely complete. There were planets that weren't there. Microtech is a planet that is far off into the northern side of the system, but it is arguably one of the most expansive hub worlds and also one of the most beautiful ones. I remember the absolute feeling of flying to this location with my friends, landing in the same place together, we were in the same ship, and then taking the tram and just looking into the horizon and seeing this massive city that we were flying into. There were so many shops and so many locations and so many things to see and buy that genuinely it was one of the
I don't know who
best
designed New Babbage or New Laggage, as I like to call it, but this thing is amazing.
Experiences that I've ever had with friends. Look, the only comparable experience to me here is something like GTA Online, where they have a very well-crafted city, a lot of places that you can explore, a lot of places that you can even shop with.
He probably doesn't even know that like all of those buildings will be enterable at some point.
Metaverse-like things. Star Citizen,
for, like player cabs and shit.
When that happens, is amazing. The ability for us to go onto the frigid colds of Microtech's exterior for 5 minutes before we froze to death was a fun time. Then the entire point of spending hundreds of thousands of credits that we literally spent hours mining. Yes, mining. Because when I wanted to make money, I literally bought an ATV, stuffed that into the cargo hold for my ship, flew it down to a planet, literally mined for an hour to make enough money to rent a luxury Robert Space Industries $1,000 cruiser that we could...
Oh yeah, at some point. That's the... Well, you know what? They're actually working on it right now, so...
fly
fuck it.
around.
I don't know how long it
it
will take them. Like, from my experience, whenever they say that they're working on something, it takes them fucking 2 years, so...
That is an experience that I will never forget. And that's one of the points where Star Citizen shines. Now, even with all of that said, ladies and gentlemen, do I recommend this game? No! Because, ladies and gentlemen, as fun as that experience was, the game is still wholly incomplete. Yes, the game is an alpha. Of course it's supposed to be incomplete, Muda. The problem with Star Citizen is a game that is too ambitious. And it is really a game that obviously they've got the money to see it to completion, but with a team like RSI and Chris Roberts being the visionary that he is,
they really don't, because they have enough money to cover their expenses for every fucking year. Last year was the first year when they actually had like more money than they spent.
Actually see an end goal in sight. This game really needs
like an
somebody
actual
to
profit.
come in with a corporate mind and just
I don't think that this year will like make him a profit unless they make like a couple of big ass ships for not Invictus, the IE.
Actually start putting in goals and hitting those goals to begin with. You know, for a lot of us people who were finding these sandworms and all these cool little pieces of tech interesting at one moment in time, in the last few years, a lot of individuals that were once Star Citizen messiahs have pretty much given up on this game and have pretty much thrown it into obscurity. It is, at this moment in time, the perfect definition of the sunk cost fallacy. There are so many elements in this game that do not work perfectly, that are elements, even the inventory system is not perfect. There are elements in this game that will always appear to be placeholders. There are performance issues in the game that need to be addressed. There are entire segments of this game that completely lack any form of polish. There is no joke when every time you spawn in, the AI will literally be T-posing in front of you. There is never a moment in Star Citizen where the AI is not broken. Every single hub world that I go to, if I go to a counter, there is always going to be one AI that is not loaded in perfectly. It is a game that is not perfect. It is a game where picking up items and interacting with them can be very, very finicky. You know, I wanted to make this video earlier for a while, but one of the updates for Star Citizen literally caused these servers to have some of the worst lag spikes imaginable. There was a moment where trying to open a door took 5 minutes in the game for the server to actually recognize my client's input and give me a response from the server. It was downright unplayable.
It was a bad server,
at one
though.
point.
It was a bad server, though, and probably somebody like spawned a ton of crates somewhere.
Of course, while things have changed for the better, this is a game that has no end in its development in sight.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, for me to recommend Star Citizen, they have got to actually put out some tangible goals and start hitting them and hitting them and hitting them in stride. Ladies and gentlemen, Star Citizen...
Although I would still recommend to everyone that they should play the game during free flies, whatever, just to see it for what it is. And then you're going to realize it is for me, I want to wait for it. Or it is for me right now, and I'm going to play it right now. Or it's not for me. You shouldn't really trust a YouTuber. You got to trust yourself.
This is a perfect example of crowdfunding gone haywire. Ladies and gentlemen, will it one day be complete?
If you're watching the Star Citizen video and you don't play Star Citizen, then it means that you're really interested, so you should try it.
Honestly, I think Grand Theft Auto 8 will be out before Star Citizen is complete. I'm not even being cute there.
Oh, yeah.
I genuinely do believe that. Ladies and gentlemen, Star Citizen is one of the most expensive games that I've seen developed, especially by a developer that at one point was an indie developer. Now, I would argue, with the budget and size of their company, Cloud Imperium Games is about as AAA as any of the other studios that I have seen at this point. And the game that they are making is like quadruple A. This is the biggest game ever developed. This is the biggest, most ambitious concept ever pulled out. And it is one of those concepts that I think will always remain a concept and never a final production. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. I wanted to do kind of a personal deep dive.
That's why we are all here, because you never know. It might be something good in the end.
Into one of the most interesting games for me.
Or maybe we're just going to die and not see the end of the development for Star Citizen, which is most likely going to be the case for most of us.
That I genuinely was waiting for. If anything, Star Citizen is the game of my dreams. But I don't think my dreams will ever become true. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know if you think differently. This is me, Mutahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.
All right, it was a good video. Although it's like, there's a link for you guys. It is obvious that he doesn't know everything about everything when it comes to Star Citizen, which is like normal, because who else is gonna have a channel revolving around Star Citizen forever? Except me and a couple of other guys. So I think it's a fair video. I don't know. Yeah, that's it. That's all that I have. Honestly, I think that some things that he said were wrong, but probably because he's just like uninformed, and that's it.